The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. When Jesus heard of the death of John the Baptist, he withdrew in a boat to a deserted place by himself. The crowds heard of this and followed him on foot from their towns. When he disembarked and saw the vast crowd, his heart was moved with pity for them, and he cured their sick. When it was evening, the disciples approached him and said, "This is a deserted place, and it is already late. Dismiss the crowds so that they can go to the villages and buy food for themselves." Jesus said to them, "There is no need for them to go away. Give them some food yourselves." But they said to him, "5 loaves and 2 fish are all that we have here." Then he said, "Bring them here to me." And he ordered the crowds to sit down on the grass. Taking the 5 loaves and the 2 fish, and looking up to heaven, he said the blessing, broke the loaves, and gave them to the disciples, who in turn gave them to the crowds. They all ate and were satisfied, and they picked up the fragments left over, 12 wicker baskets full. Those who ate were about 5,000 men, not counting women and children. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
So, have you ever had this experience? There's some occasion where your friends from different parts of your life have an opportunity to come together. Perhaps it was your wedding or a major birthday celebration. Last year, for instance, my parents had one of these moments when they celebrated their 50th anniversary. They had friends there who had known them their entire lives, and friends they had made here in Houston last year on a visit, and then everyone in between. For me, it was my ordination. Friends from Chattanooga, from Nashville, from Tampa, from all over Jesuit land had the occasion to come together. You've probably had one of these rare experiences of worlds coming together. And it leads to, at least it did for me, a strange feeling. It's a feeling of being made whole, or a feeling of being seen from a very wide and all-encompassing perspective. For me, it was all at once strange, but also stabilizing. It's easy to see our lives in these different compartments. We have our work friends, our neighborhood friends, our college friends, our childhood friends, our parents' friends who are now kind of our friends. We have work, we have home, children, children's lives, and all of their friends, clubs and organizations, social circles, God help us, political parties. We can easily treat all of these as separate and then unrelated spheres. It seems easy to live by compartmentalizing and keeping all these in their different compartments. The school is a great place to practice this sort of compartmentalization. Students take math, they take English, foreign language, science, history, and rarely, if ever, is it made clear how all of these different subjects are related to one another. There are sports, clubs, bands, theater troupes, and a host of different activities, but not really related to one another. Then there's the college application process. That's a whole other homily, but it's a process that is often completely separated, it seems, from the rest of our lives. It's as if this process has nothing to do with any part of our life. It's completely a thing unto itself. More and more we live in compartments. In today's reading, the disciples show they too think in this same way. When it comes time for the crowd to eat, they suggest to Jesus, dismiss the crowd, so then go eat. Eating, as far as the disciples think, has nothing to do with the spiritual life or why they're there to listen to Jesus. It's necessary, yes, but it was unrelated to what they were concerned about. They were there to share the good news of God. Feeding and eating and all these other needs, well, that was of no concern of theirs. Obviously, the contemporary parallel is going to church on Sunday. And then the rest of the week, well, we live by whatever values are apropos to the category we inhabit at the time. Work, well, we live on Monday morning by the values and goals of work. Family, in the evenings, we live out the values and goals of our family. What's the relationship to Sunday? It's easy to lose that thread. You may or may not have noticed that in talking about all the different subjects within a school, I left out theology. At a Jesuit school, the most important subject we teach is theology. It is the great unifier at an intellectual level. Retreats operate in a very similar way, but at the affective level, at the level of the heart. That's where they unify. So both theology and retreats allow us to step back and view the whole together. So Jesus says to his disciples, there's no need for them to go away. There's no need for us to compartmentalize. When Jesus is on the scene in our lives, it should be the same feeling, the same sensation as being at the party with all of your friends from across the span of your life. Jesus knows you completely, knows your needs, your desires, your goals, knows how to guide us towards them. Now, Jesus being on the scene can be strange, like, whoa, he knows everything about me, knows me better than myself, and at the same time, it can be very stabilizing. Jesus knows me. He knows me better than I know myself. The relationship we have with God through Jesus is the tie that binds together all of our compartments. True enough. But on our part, we must let them be bound together and weaken maybe the walls of all of these different compartments so that Christ's love may flow more freely back and forth across all the different parts of our lives. It will seem strange at first, but will, over time, become a bedrock, a foundation upon which the many rooms of our lives rests.